All right. Good evening, everybody. George Donnelly here. I see there's nobody waiting to get in. But everybody's welcome. Okay. Here we go. Kyle Forgeard. So this is BCH Ignite channel. I'm George Donnelly. We're talking about the Bitcoin Cash network upgrade, which is to happen in 75 days. Kyle, you can
Shut up,
there.
faggot. Shut up, you faggot.
Nice. Screw you too. All right. So you try to provide a public service, have a conversation, and you get chumps coming on here with obscenities. Real nice. Okay, so let's see. So before we get into the meat of it, I want to read cache. You know, I love read.cache, but like something is there's always some problem. So like I just logged in and now it says I'm logging in from a new device, but I'm not. Swear to God, I'm not. All right. We got somebody else who wants to come on. Yeah. I totally can't use Readcash because it's prompted me to. All right. Yeah. So I got somebody else who wants to come on, and yeah. So I don't know at this point whether I should allow that or not. Maybe you can type something, Daniel, in the chat that gives me a little bit of confidence. So so I've been telling the guys on Read.cache. So I see the Read.cache people and some others, for example, SLP token people who are always in a rush to cash out. And I've seen this also in my adoption work in Latin America. Merchant just got paid. George, I got to cash out. I need the cash in my hand. I don't trust it if I don't have it in my hand. And that's just such short-term thinking. It looks like Daniel got tired. But if anybody else wants to come on, you're more than welcome. Let's see. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to pop out this chat. See if anybody has anything to say there. So, it's my opinion, and I wrote about this on Read.cache, which I'd like to show you, but it keeps popping up this foolishness here. Yeah, as you can see, I'm not logged in from a new device. I don't know what's happening. So, anyway, I think the Read.cache people and people getting SLP token airdrops and all that business, like, don't be in such a rush to cash out. That's short-term thinking. That's like employee mentality. Oh, it's payday. Need that cash in hand. No, man. I bet all you guys are younger than me in the developing world. You should be thinking about business. There is so much opportunity out there. And one thing you can use your Bitcoin Cash for is to start a local peer-to-peer liquidity business on local.bitcoin.com. Now I'm just going to check, make sure, stream seems to be active. Yeah. All right. So, wonder if I must have deleted all my cookies or something. So, once you've, created your account and all that stuff. So the question that I got today was, George, how do I make an offer? Right? Because there's a subtle difference here. So some people will go and they'll be like, oh, I have to take, I have to. Now, this is also something that I have to talk to you about, Roger. Seriously. I love this site. Everybody loves this site, but it's slow. Why is it so slow? Click the link in my email. I don't think I've gotten an email though. All right. Got the email. Okay, so once you're logged in, go back to the previous tab. Are you kidding me? So I got to log in again. This is a little bit screwed up. Keep this tab open and click the link. Really? Hi, JJ. All right, previous tab. Went back to the previous tab. Okay, here we go. All right, I think this may be a trustworthy individual that is coming on the stream right now. All right, just give me a second. Get yourself set up. So yeah, I just want to make this point real quick. So a lot of people go to local.bitcoin.com and they'll be like, oh, I want to buy or sell BCH from these listings. No, sir. No, sir. You got to think longer term. You got to go up to here to offers and you got to create a new offer, right? So now you're the one in charge. And look, creating an offer will allow you to set your own rates and terms and enjoy a 0.25% fee. People that respond to offers pay a 0.75% fee. So you actually, you save a lot of money. Like you save like 67% off of fees, and you get to dictate, your terms. So I have these offers up here, and so let's see. This one is I sell BCH at market rate, right? So I'm just a sucker here. I should be selling it for 5% above. And then you create another one where you I should sell for, and then you create another one where you buy 5% under. And then you win every time. At least in BCH terms. Are you there? Can you hear me? Testing 1, 2, 3. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So yeah, people on Readcash, I know we're not in the same time zone and whatnot for the most part, but here's your pointer. Here's your pointer. Set it up, set this up, and then, you can go, like, let's say you want to sell BCH. Maybe you want to do it via bank transfer. Maybe, I've seen there are a lot of Readcashers in Bangladesh. And let's sort by price. Yeah. So local bitcoin.com is awesome. Love it, Roger, but this is a bit slow. So here's someone actually selling Bitcoin Cash at like double the market price. So you got to be careful here, right? This is a very a little bit of a sneaky individual. This is still selling it pretty high. Here's somebody selling it at a reasonable price, right? So this is true to sell BCH. Yeah. Oh no, these are buyers. Okay. So you want to review these prices, and you can see what other people put on their listings. For example, no trades yet, no trades yet. None of these people have trades yet. Bangladesh, come on, get with it, guys. Let's go. Let's see. What about, are you there? Can you hear me? Is that you, Karen? So, Let's take a look at Thailand. Ooh, oh, there you go.
Yeah, sorry, I had a little bit of an issue with the camera cable, but hopefully this works now.
Cool. Yeah, I can hear you great. So yeah, just let me finish up this bit. So yeah, no trades in Thailand either. So there's lots of opportunity here, my Readcash friends. So Kieran, how you doing?
Not too bad. It's 10 past 8 at the moment over here. So not too unreasonable time.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's 10 after 7 p.m. here. So what are your thoughts on this whole situation? The whole network upgrade thing.
By situation, I assume you're referring to the possibility of a split.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my position on this is always I'm pro adoption and pro whatever and brings more economic freedom to the world. I think if possible, I'd rather not see a split, but if a split must happen, I'd rather see it happen amicably. For the simple fact that I don't want to have to go around and talk to merchants all day, telling them, "Oh no, wait, these guys, you should be accepting whatever," and then having some different group of people screaming, those guys are frauds or whatever, you should be accepting this currency. And I think that's always the biggest hindrance to adoption after a split is just simply the fallout of people, effectively trashing the other chain for things that aren't related to technical differences, basically just personal attacks, which is I see that as a big issue and a bit tiresome.
Yeah. It's so discouraging, It's just like we're supposed to be here doing something, like important, constructive, and we're reduced to something else.
I mean, I think if you look at the history of chain splits, right, the contentious issue has almost never been a technical point of difference, but more a something that could be brought against people. So, majority of the time, when you have a technical point of difference, that sorry, it's very cold here. Yeah, I think the majority of the time when you have a technical point of difference, you get, that doesn't really tend to escape the realm of, developers. But when you have something that can be bought as like a personal attack, then tends to escape out into the wider community and cause a lot more havoc. So, you can look at, of course, there's BTC BCH split, which that was a well, I guess you probably have to look at the whole Bitcoin or BT2X or Segwit 2X at the time. That was like a people brought that against SegWit2x as being a business coin, or an attempt at businesses to take over from the Bitcoin, and then later that same accusation got leveled against BCH. And then you had the Bitcoin SV split, where basically you got a bunch of people coming along and saying, the developers are trying to take over Bitcoin. And that caused the split over there, and of course, Nchain and Nchain did a pretty big write up on the whole CTOR situation and things like that, but that really wasn't the thing that actually drove the wedge and caused a split. And I think the split that we're seeing now is, can be summarized in those terms from both perspectives. I think you can say, from a pro ABC side, it's probably you could say that, all right, there's the people on the other side don't want to see the protocol development being funded, and would rather see Bitcoin Cash development grow stale. And the people on the BCH side could say that the people on the BCH ABC side want to turn Bitcoin into a centrally planned, by some organization that retains a coin base, and you can see it being argued from that side. So I think we're seeing the same sort of dynamics come forward with the whole we're seeing the same sort of dynamics come forward with the split. So for me, I think that's why a split's going to happen, and I'd much rather it be amicable if possible.
It feels like it's just all about personality issues, like the whole like everything else is just kind of the frosting on top, like the funding, why didn't the funding happen, without this? There's some personal issues, that mean that people don't want to fund Bitcoin ABC voluntarily.
Sure. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. And yeah, I just feel like, and after that, and that's really the only halfway substantive issue, because everything else is about personality. It's like over here, on this side, we're the Randy and Superman, and all you guys are small brains and we're big brains, and we don't like you guys and you guys don't like us. Like, what happened to this whole idea of the blockchain removing certain things, like before, going back to the time of Hammurabi, you had a stone tablet and you chiseled out the ledger and stuff, and that depended on people, because somebody had to chisel it out and somebody had to give permission, and the chiseler had to be trusted by Hammurabi or whoever. And I thought blockchain was supposed to dispense of all these personal issues,
Yeah, I think we probably have to reckon with the fact that, unfortunately, the technology might stay independent, but the people around it are still people. So, until we have ways of dealing with this sort of thing, I think we're going to continue to see splits.
Yeah, but like a few weeks ago, I was thinking like maybe the foundation idea has some merit, but I don't think so anymore. And sometimes I think it would be useful if there was a counterbalance to the protocol developers, because I mean, I don't have any problem with most protocol developers, but and I hope they don't take offense, but it just seems like most of them, it's not their top skill to deal effectively with other human beings, and so maybe it's that like super geek, uh you know mm, you know yeah, that's super geek energy, that like, yeah, you need those guys to write the C and to do, like all this stuff that Jonathan, for example, did with Acert. But when you put those guys to work, like working out interpersonal relationships and coming to compromises and things, is that, maybe that's putting like Albert Einstein, giving him a lawnmower and telling him to cut the lawn, like maybe that's just not, I don't know. Maybe that's out of their wheelhouse.
I mean, I've sort of had the opinion that Bitcoin Cash definitely needs more businesses that are more actively involved with the decision-making process. But the question really comes down to, what businesses do we really have that are in that position at the moment? I could probably list them off in one hand. So we've got, this. Of course, you've got Bitcoin.com. They've got a lot of skin in the game, and of course, they've been very active on pushing global adoption. Who else?
kind of BitPay, sort of BitPay.
Yeah, I guess BitPay. Yep. Satoshi's Angels. But like, you start to really, scrape around for a number of businesses that actually have that sort of capacity and really fill in that kind of role. So it's my hope that having more active businesses can kind of bring a bit more stability to Bitcoin Cash.
And I think like, it's, one could look at it and be like, well, how come there's not more adoption? How come there aren't more businesses? And I think that's definitely an important question to consider. But at the same time, like, we are hopefully, let's pray, near the end of this long bear market, which I think has taken a toll on a lot of people. And there was at one point I noticed, maybe it was around the time BTC hit like 3,200. I just felt like everybody in the ecosystem was kind of putting a little bit of extra push behind BTC, and so, maybe everybody just kind of like did all for one and one for all kind of thing with BTC. And then, because secondary coins just kind of have fallen behind a bit.
I think that also does fall in with the public perception, or at least. So the thing is, in 2017, you did end up seeing a lot of new people come into the space, and I guess the messaging that they got around this stuff was, price go up. and that's what it's good for. So I think it's quite understandable that a lot of people were more swayed by arguments about, digital gold price going up, and all of that, when that's literally the first thing and the loudest thing that they see when entering the Bitcoin ecosystem. And I think that might actually be a that might be a failure on the people that were out there pushing the pro medium of exchange side, perhaps, that we weren't active enough outside the cryptocurrency bubble. But whether that was something that we were able to overcome at the time, just with the resources that we had, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's like when I was starting adoption here in Latin America, like in 2018, all of the like meetup groups and all the people, I was there like, hey, let's have a meetup where you learn how to pay with crypto, and let's pay with crypto. And all these people, like when we invited them from the current crypto ecosystem, they were all like, oh, the price went up, oh, hooray, my Lambo is here. Or they were like, oh, the price went down, I just bought a gun. It's just all up and down, and all about the price, and just like all about how they can claw their way into a few more bits of any crypto, just to hold it. And it was so toxic that I had to say, like, we're not going to do any more outreach to these people. I don't want them to come to the events. Like, they totally depress me. And so we had to go out and get new people, interest new people in it who weren't aware of that whole dynamic. And that's something I want to see. Like, I think we need to actively build that and like show everybody how that's also like what happens with, like, I think people on Readcash, like they get $10 in tips and they're like, bam, I'm cashing that puppy out. They're not thinking about building a business. And I think we need to help them recognize what the real value is here. It's not like you get free money for posting a few pictures on a website. It's that, there's a huge business opportunity.
All right. I'm going to go and see if I can find a heater or something, because it's actually getting really, really cold here.
All right. Good luck with that. Okay, so if anybody wants to join, you're welcome anytime. Let me see. Let me find. So while Kieran is looking for a source of heat, so on Friday I did an episode about what's going on. Basically, to sum it up, the Bitcoin ABC lead, or formerly lead mining implementation of Bitcoin Cash full node, announced that they were going to take 8% of the block reward for themselves, starting at the November 15th network upgrade. And there would be no debate about it. Let me just check here. And yeah, so obviously very few people are really happy about that. And then just a few days ago, they came out with this. So the first announcement came out, I think it was August 6th. So 3 weeks later, they came out with this announcement, which I'm writing an article about it, a couple articles maybe, but I just kind of want to tear this down and give it a good look. And, I welcome questions in the chat. I welcome people to join. The Zoom link is there. So, so basically, there's a lot of, a lot of unnecessary verbiage in these posts. Big long paragraphs, walls of text, no subtitles, or lesser titles like H2 or H3. It's pretty poorly done, frankly. So sustainable funding, the vision first articulated by Satoshi Nakamoto. Now, I just kind of find this kind of, people will say, what's that section? The whatever other, incentives can be enforced by the blah, blah, blah. But I have a hard time believing that Satoshi Nakamoto is okay with Amaury de Séché, lead developer of Bitcoin ABC, diverting 8% of the block reward to himself. And you can jump in anytime, Kieran. Hopefully you're a little warmer there. So, this new form of funding is not reliant. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think just to comment on the Satoshi Nakamoto vision part there. I often find that that's a fairly convenient way to articulate something that's like or put forward something that you don't have cleanly defined, because cleanly defined in terms of like actually like actionable points, because you don't get like what is the vision? Okay, maybe you can go to the white paper, but the white paper is fairly vague on its own. So all right, maybe you include the emails and forum posts and all, and it's like, okay, well, the vision of Satoshi Nakamoto, like that's peer-to-peer electronic cash, like that's a good overarching goal, but it provides very little in the way of actual like concrete points that you can look at in terms of a roadmap.
I find that, like, I also find these texts, these new texts from Bitcoin ABC to be kind of passive aggressive. This thing about how this new funding system is not going to be reliant on the whims of venture capitalists, billionaire gambling moguls. Is that supposed to be Calvin Ayre? I don't know. Or the continued goodwill donations of major miners and holders. I just find this so passive aggressive because each one has references to known individuals or for the continued goodwill donations. That's that's what's happening. That's the whole flip starter thing. So this any reference implementation that should come in the future. So basically what ABC is saying is that this is going to like permanently establish not only the I don't know if it'll permanently, it's probably would permanently establish Bitcoin ABC as the reference implementation, but that there should be a reference implementation, be it Bitcoin ABC or anyone else. And so because the funding all goes to this reference implementation, like, how is this not, how would this not create some kind of Thunderdome winner take all situation? So our full team supposed to, duke it out to see who's going to be the reference implementation and get that $8 million a year payday? I just don't see how this fits into the whole Bitcoin Cash vibe, So funding, will not only help Bitcoin ABC, but also provide an opportunity to fund projects throughout the ecosystem. So yeah, so I mean, this is the promise. Like you can get in on this. We're committed to a framework for the use of these funds will provide maximum transparency, accountability, and oversight. But that's a nice promise. Like, hey, we're going to be good. We're going to do everything right. But there are no details on that here. And also, like, the whole point of Bitcoin Cash is that we don't have to trust to participate in this. Does that concern you at all, Kieran?
I think the thing that concerns me the most is the fact that, okay, maybe we set this bar at arbitrarily at 500 BCH. All right, 500 BCH to someone living over here in Australia is very different to 500 BCH for someone living at most other places in the world. Are we handing over governance of Bitcoin Cash to effectively wealthy Western countries? When in my opinion, the people that need Bitcoin Cash the most are the opposite of that group. See, okay, we've got that. What other, criteria could you use for holders there? The list of criteria that you're looking at starts to look very, very thin when you're having to actually balance in the fact that you don't want this dominated by a handful of people from wealthy countries. You want it in the hands of people that genuinely need this sort of stuff and genuinely see the benefits from it right now.
What a great point. I hadn't even thought about that. So, I mean, I think, I don't know how many people agree or disagree, but from my point of view, the adoption, if you can call it that happens of cryptocurrencies in the developed world mainly revolves around all this DeFi stuff, this Wall Streetization, and the whole HODL mentality. But and I've written some stuff on my Read.cash account and my blog at morelibertynow.com about how really the opportunity is in the developing world, because people don't have, they suffer from, like, we have relatively in the developed world, relatively stable and trustworthy institutions of governance. But in the developing world, they don't have that. That doesn't exist, really. It's very variable. Like, if you look at the index of failing states, I mean, they're all in the developing world. And if you also look at the informal economy, I mean, that's the developing world. And that's because of oppressive regulations. And so our opportunity here is huge. And this telegraphs that, sorry, if you're not, a rich person, with your top hat and your monocle in the Western world, this is not for you. And that's definitely not a message that I would want to send.
I mean, that's the same sort of problem that happened with BTC, and it's still the kind of central point in a lot of the discussions that I've been having recently with. So I do this thing about once every 18 months where I go and set up a Lightning node and everything, and evaluate whether it's worth it and look at progress. I won't go too deep into that because it's not a stream about Lightning. But a central theme that I've actually been looking at is like, oh, okay, well, why don't you just send your transactions at 1 sat per byte, or whatever. It's like, okay, well, right, sure. You have that whole discussion. They're like, well, it's only like $10 to set this thing up, right? And it's not that much if you want to be a cheapskate about it. Like, well, okay, maybe that's me being a cheapskate, but $10 is like a significant portion, if not the entire income of the people that this thing's meant to help. Like, it's unacceptable, right? So to see the same sort of effectively gatekeeping happening here in Bitcoin Cash is that's worrying to me.
Yeah. I watched a documentary yesterday about some Thai farmers who they like 2 months every year, they would borrow money, like $2,000 or something, so that they could travel to Scandinavia. And basically for 2 months straight, they would work like 16 to 18 hours a day, going around trying to pick wild cloudberries, cranberries, blueberries out of these forests, like in the far north of Scandinavia. And these people, they worked their butts off. And at the end, they came away with a profit of about 1,000 to 1,300 euros. And that's a big deal. That's a huge amount of money. That's life-changing money, And I see some of these people on Readcash who work, for a few weeks or more, and maybe they get $10, and like we need those people. We need them. We can't just be like, hey, sorry, no top hat. So, no top hat, no service. We can't be like that. We need all those people to be, to be peer-to-peer liquidity providers in their local areas, to spread the word, to teach other people about solutions, solutions that BCH provides. We're not going to get anywhere. Like, I mean, I don't know Craig Wright. I've never met him, but this kind of thing strikes me as being right up his alley, because every video I've seen of him, he's sitting in a huge old high-backed, chair, smoking a cigar with his pals, like that's totally the vibe I'm getting off of this. Do you want to jump in at all, Larry? No pressure, of course, but the mic's open if you want to.
I do have a thought that I'd like to share and get your feedback on if we have a little bit of time.
Absolutely.
Coincidentally, as you were reading from what I think is the third graph on your screen, beginning Satoshi Nakamoto, I recognized there a question that it was in my own mind. No, in the third paragraph. So Nakamoto delivered a system of governance and so on. It seems to me that I would agree with some of the, I think, criticism you had of that sentence. But it does touch on an issue I've been thinking about some myself, which is, well, since you're the first people I've talked to about it, I may not be able to say it very succinctly, but we don't have a system of governance, which I think most people would agree on. And as far as I can recall, Nakamoto himself or themselves never mentioned anything bordering on that in the white paper. Do you know of any forum discussed early on?
Can you repeat that last bit? It was a little garbled. Do I know of any forum?
Yeah, do you know of any previous discussion during the early stages Bitcoin itself, the original Bitcoin, with the original Nakamoto team and the early developers before there were any chain splits and so on. I don't recall this question that we're now calling governance ever even arising that early. It was as if this coin they were creating was going to be the only one. And so there were no issues of, like, for example, what is the role of the developer? We are the developers. We're producing the potential to have this new kind of money. But I don't recall any discussion of competition among multiple cryptocurrencies. I'm wondering if there's some guidance that might come from far back, if that was in fact discussed early on.
All right, good question. I'm not aware of any. Karen, does that jog any memories?
So, I don't believe that this question was directly addressed by Satoshi. I don't think that a lot of things were foreseen by Satoshi. Well, simply because we didn't have any reference at the time. But I think we can kind of infer. We can kind of infer a few things from the way that that Satoshi acted and the way that things tended to play out. So one, we know that Satoshi stepped away. The exact reason for that, is up for debate, but I would put forward that one of the reasons was because earlier on, a lot of the decisions tended to be made by Satoshi themselves. So, in order to truly decentralize Bitcoin, I think Satoshi might have stepped away. And I think there are other reasons relating to possibly not wanting to get entangled with the authorities and all of that later on, but I certainly think that the governance thing was one of the reasons. And if we look at that, and then we look at the fact that Satoshi was very clear about Bitcoin being a system of economic incentives, we can kind of say, okay, well, really, I think developers, maybe they've been trying to fill the role that Satoshi would have. I'm kind of spitballing here because I haven't specifically answered this question, so I'm trying to make sure that I use the right words to answer it. I think the problem that we have is developers need to be very careful about not engaging in the same problematic role that Satoshi would have been put into had Satoshi stayed. That's basically dictating the protocol out to the rest of the ecosystem. I think what needs to happen is things need to flow back the other way. And I think coming back to my earlier point, a point I made earlier in the stream, that we don't have enough business involvement in the discussion of roadmap and so on, is a big reason for why we have all of these splits, because what we see is a lot of features being pushed out from the development side, and then that goes down into the ecosystem, the users and all, and then we say, okay, yeah, maybe that's a good bad feature, whatever. What I really think we should see is starting to see things from people that invest a lot of economic activity into the system. So that comes down to businesses. So people that invest a lot of economic activity into the system to start to request features back from the developers. And I'm not sure that's the perfect form of governance, but I think it's a step in the right direction of ensuring that we remove the choke point of protocol development, really, when it comes down to so the choke points basically, where a group of small people or entities can be have effectively a large say in what goes and what doesn't. So yeah, I think we need to see businesses start to come in and say, this is a feature that I'd like to see implemented, and signal that by saying, okay, well, that's a feature I'd like to be implemented. Here's the funding. Please go and implement it for me. Right now, what we're seeing development groups go and say, here's the features that we want to implement. Please fund it, and we'll go ahead and implement these features. I think that's the wrong way around. So that's my view on how we should start to approach governance in Bitcoin Cash. My only concern with that is, again, as I stated earlier on in the call. Okay, well, I guess we're having a storm now. But yeah, as I stated earlier on in the call, that the number of businesses that can actually step up and take that role is very, very limited right now. So I think we need to focus on A, growing the number of businesses that can step up in that role, and B, also starting to provide the frameworks for businesses to come in and start to take that sort of a role as well when they do emerge.
I think that's really interesting. The whole business angle, like maybe business first. You could call that concept. I don't know. Well, we're a little bit over an hour. I'm trying to keep these to an hour. I'm doing them every weeknight for about the next 10 or 11 weeks. So I think we'll sign off here. But Larry, Kieran, do you want to get any final words?
George, I really admire you for the obvious enormous effort you're putting into this. I first realized when I the extended coverage that you while you were still that you provided to the I guess it was the 3rd anniversary or birthday of Bitcoin Cash. I could see that you put an enormous effort into that, and I'm amazed. You seem to have many irons in the fire, and keep up the good work.
Well, I really appreciate that, Larry. Thank you so much. Words of encouragement are not always in ample supply, so I definitely appreciate that, and I appreciate both you guys joining me tonight. So I didn't have to just talk by myself, and you guys had some really great additions to the conversation. So, all right, did you want to have any final words, Kieran?
Yeah, thanks for hosting this, for one, and two, just a sort of message for the people in Bitcoin Cash. Make sure that going forward we're very mindful of the fact that events like these do have a very large impact on merchants, and just with the actions that we're taking, be very, very mindful of the fact that the Bitcoin Cash really is striving for global economic adoption, and just to be very careful and not to inadvertently hurt those goals. So
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Larry, Kieran, thank you so much once again for joining me this evening. We're going to do this again tomorrow night. Thanks, everybody, and have a good night. Let's keep building Bitcoin Cash.
Same back to you.
All right. Thanks, guys.